I got a fish. Yeah. Alright folks, welcome to a brand new video right here on the channel. I'm doing something a bit different today, something I have never actually done before, and I'm very excited about it. Is stillwater rainbow trout fishing with the BFS gear, bait finesse system. If you've never been introduced to this stuff before, it's basically ultralight spinning with super light rods like this one and tiny little bait caster reels. This is actually a new bait caster reel that I've never used before. It's a Shimano Aldebaran and specifically designed for this type of fishing. The reason people do this is it was kind of invented in Japan for using ultralight lures on, like, this is a 0.6 gram jig head, and these are soft plastics in this little case here. Anglers in Japan wanted ways to fish really light lures in really tight spaces, like creeks, like little rivers, streams, that type of thing up in the mountains, but it kind of took off from there, spread to America, spread to Europe, and you know, people have been doing this method now for the last few years, not just in Japan, but across the world, and now here in Scotland. To be honest with you, there's very few fisheries in Scotland that allow you to do this type of thing. Where I am today is a place in Fife called Kinross Trout Fishery. It's one of the very few places, to be honest, anywhere in the UK that allows you to do this catch and release. Now, of course, you have to have barbless hooks, which I've got. Box full of soft plastics there. See if I can tempt a fish. If that doesn't work, you know, I can also try little spinners as well. That might tempt these fish, hopefully. But I was in the cabin and the guy said that it's been very hard today because we've got a really sudden onset of extremely hot weather, which is going to culminate tonight in some electric storms, thunder and lightning, which is going to be something. Hopefully that holds off until we are gone. I've only got 2 hours to try and catch a fish, so I don't see any movement on the surface, and this place is full of fish, so they must be down. But if there's any method that you can winkle out a fish, it is bait finesse system, and that is why a lot of people are now using this in different places. But big up to Kinross Trout Fishery, because like I say, one of the few places that allow this method. See, that's my tiny jig head there. I'm just going to put a tiny little lure like that. That's called a French fry. So we'll see how we get on. There you go, that is my lure. This is my first time also using this rod here. This is a Kyong Teton, which is a 0.3 to 3 gram casting weight rod. So ultra light fishing here. And that is why we do this kind of thing. If we catch a fish, it's going to be really good fun. Right, I've got 2 hours, so less yapping, time to get into some fish. First things first, I need to adjust to make sure that the lure is going down at a nice even pace, not too fast. Otherwise, these reels will overrun. So I'm just going to start nice gentle flicks off into the side here. Oh, first cast, first overrun. That's to be expected. A new rod and reel setup. Okay, not far, but far enough to catch a fish, hopefully. Now, this is just about figuring out where these fish are and if they want to feed. What depth, you know, are they down below? Are they up high? And I think because of the conditions today, any fish that we might come across are going to be quite low to the bottom. Just going to let that go down. Give it a few twitches. I think it's going to be hard going today with this heat. Like 23 degrees, which for Scotland is mightily warm. Alright, I'm going to try a slightly heavier lead head to get a bit more distance in this wind. Ooh. Bit better. It's going out more. Gonna get it right to the bottom. Yeah, there we go. It's actually pretty deep here. was sinking for quite a lot of time to get down. I think today with the sun, these fish are going to be hugging right down next to the bottom. Every time you change your lure with these rods and reel setups to a different weight, everything's slightly different weight, and you need to retune your gear every time. Just going to try jigging this quite close to the bottom, see if that works. Yeah, no. Oh, definitely been fussy. So that's a slightly heavier weight, and I think with this wind that's necessary. It's like I think that's more like a 2.5 gram plus the lure, maybe more like 3 gram. The fish are definitely not on today though. I can't see any movement on the surface. With this heat, they might have just been put right down. There we go. Now we're cooking. It takes a bit of time to get used to the reels, especially when they're new for you. If you've never used a particular rod and reel setup before, like this is my first time ever casting this gear in anger. It does take a wee bit of time to get used to them. Oh, is that a fish? Is that a fish or is that a bottom? Oh, I got a fish. Yeah. Took it on the drop. Get that drag tightened up a bit. I hoped I would get something. I actually hit it on the drop. Oof, on this rod. It really, they really pull. Oh, no, I've got someone else's line here. That's not my fish. I've got someone else's line with a float and it's got a fish attached. That's unbelievable. Well, at least if nothing else, we're going to rescue this fish today. Oh. I'm going to rescue someone else's fish, which has been lost for a while on this float. Right, let's see if I can get him in this shallow bay here. Come on, out of there. Come on. He's in the net. Whew. Beautiful wee trout. Yeah. I'm going to do my part to rescue a fish from a lost float. No idea how long this fish has been. Well, unfortunately, the only thing for this fish is to cut the line because it's right down his throat. He's been trailing that for a while. Can you see it? Come on, fishy, there you go. Well, that was a bit strange. I managed to fill hook someone's float, which was attached to a fish. So it's not technically my fish, but nonetheless, I did still feel what it was like to catch a fish on this rod and reel. That was quite a small trout, maybe about a pound-ish, and it pulled quite hard. Unfortunately, there was not much I could do for that fish because the hook was right down its throat, so I had to cut the line and just let it go. But yeah, strange one. Anyway, I'm going to keep persevering and see if I can catch my own one. Right, I'm going to try what's known as a creature bait now, which is like a little crayfish imitation. This is actually from America, and they use them out there quite a lot for different rainbow and brown trout quite successfully, so we'll give it a go. Quite a heavy lead head, but it's the only way I'm going to get any distance today with this wind. You can't really hear the wind because I've got the microphone on and it is definitely dulling the wind, but It's very strong, so it's quite hard to cast, but that has a lot of movement, so we'll give that a go, jigging it across the bottom. That was a rainbow trout, by the way. I think my wife has never seen a rainbow trout before, who's behind the camera, so there you go.
I don't even know what a normal trout is, if it's a rainbow one or not.
So brown trout are native to the UK, wild. Rainbow trout are native to America. And most places like this stock the rainbows because they're easier to cultivate and breed and grow and then stock. You can see that creature bit in the water there. It jigs up and down. Oh wow, in the sun, honestly, it is extremely hot. I'm not surprised these fish are not really wanting to play ball today. The thing with BFS fishing, bait finesse system, there's not many places like this one, private places, fisheries, where you can actually do this, right? A lot of fisheries have a bait pool like this one, although most of them, I'll say, are not anywhere near as big as this. They're usually a lot smaller. And most of the bait fishery ponds at fisheries like this one are bait only, so you can't spin. And technically BFS bait finesse system is spinning, so they don't allow, most of them don't allow it. And those that do allow it, they have a kill only policy. So you know, you buy a ticket for 2 fish or 4 fish, and once you've caught those fish, you have to either buy another permit and catch more, which costs a lot of money, or you have to give it fishing, right? You can't do catch and release. But here at Kinross Trout Fishery, and big up Kinross Trout Fishery for allowing this, is that they allow you to do catch and release on the bait pond with spinning gear, as long as you use barbless hooks like I am. Single barbless hooks, no trebles, of course. So that is great. A great thing about this place is they allow catch and release spinning, which means if you want to do BFS, if you want to practice BFS for the first time, you've never tried it before, you can. And that's the thing, when people are getting into the sport, there's not many places where you can come practice to get good and also practice catching fish as well. And that's what is great about a place like this, is that when you're new to the sport, you can come here, practice in a really kind of safe environment. It's very easy to fish here, very clean, picturesque, and there's lots of fish here as well. Now, even though today they might not be on a usual day, there's usually loads of fish here. You know, the thing is, trout fisheries around the UK have been kind of struggling for the last few years. And I think a lot of that is, you know, a lot of them are fly only and very traditional, which is fine, but, you know, fishing has kind of moved on. People are trying new methods like this one. The rod that I'm using in the reel setup with like 8-pound braid and 5-pound leader is just as light and sporting as any of the other methods you would get in these trout fisheries, fly fishing for example. I don't want to piss off the fly fishers, but there we go. So yeah, big up Kinross Trout Fishery for allowing people like me to play around with BFS gear, and that was an overrun. This is something that happens. You get what's called a bird's nest overrun. Yeah, you need to be careful. To be honest, I think the only thing I can do today is potentially keep changing lures to find something that a trout might want to bite in this hot weather. You know, have a cast or two, maybe 5 or 10 casts, and then change tactics. Bright sunshine in between the clouds and extremely hot. There is someone bait fishing over the other side, and they're having no joy either, which concerns me. But you know, nonetheless, I wanted to say this. I wanted to come here and try this place out and see it, because if you are into BFS fishing, or you want to try it, you want a place where you've got a reasonable chance of catching some fish, places like this are, you know, really, really important. And it's a shame that more fisheries don't really allow this type of thing. So yeah, get yourself along here, I guess. Maybe come on a day when it's not so bright and sunny and hot like today.
As a fly angler, I spent over 10 years travelling up and down Scotland and up and down the rest of the UK trying stillwater trout fisheries, and I learned a thing or two along the way. So catching fish or not, it's really fun to see these venues through the new lens of BFS fishing.
Alright, one thing that I always have done since I started trout fishing years ago at these type of places is when it's hard, sometimes the little bays where the wind is blowing into, that's where the food is blown into as well. So you sometimes get fish feeding right tight up against the wind side bank. So before we go today, I'm gonna have a couple more casts here to see if there aren't any fish feeding right in this corner. Maybe we'll get lucky. Literally last cast now. I've got 5 minutes. What's that, maybe 5 casts more? Can I save a blank here? Not convinced. But now got cloud cover, severe cloud cover, all the sun is gone, so I think if the fish did decide to come on today, now would be a time they might. Think about it. I'm still not seeing anything on the surface though. Just to show you know, even a place where you know there's full of fish, when they're not interested, when the water temperature rises or whatever, they're just not going to feed, and that is it. There's nothing you can do about it. Come on fish, if you're going to show up now would be a great time. Now would be a fantastic time to show up. The wind's just dropped a little bit. Strong cloud cover.
Well, I could not, for the life of me, catch a fish today. They were not playing ball, and if I learned anything from this session, it is that when you turn up at a fishery, if the manager tells you it is way too hot and the fish don't want to feed, you should probably listen to them. But nonetheless, Kinross, I will be back. And if you're a BFS angler or want to try it out, this might be the spot for you. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up and check out some of the other videos on my channel. I'll leave the playlist down below or up above.